Welcome into this live edition of the Oxford Exxon podcast. Hand raised, guys, whatever it is that you'd like to call it today. Got a couple of special guests with us from Cast Wines. We've got Ashley Herzberg. She is the winemaker there. She's going to take us through about 7 wines from the people at Cast. We're going to give you a promo code that you all can take advantage of. We'll get you that information here in just a little bit. Also on our show tonight, Chase Parham, as always. You know about Chase, not worried about Chase. We also have the esteemed golf coach at the University of Mississippi. We don't have the esteemed one. We just have one of them. It's Chris Malloy. He's here tonight. He's going to go with some wines as well. We've got some packages to unwrap. So we're going to have a lot of fun on the show. First, let me take you through a few of our sponsors real quick. The Oxford Exxon, Highway 6 West in Oxford, right next door to the Oxford Crystal. Download the Speed Pass Plus app. And once you get that Speed Pass Plus app, you can fill up there at the Oxford Exxon. You don't have to touch anything. If you're worried about germs and viruses and things of that nature, you can still take care of yourself. But if you want to go into the Oxford Exxon, wide range of soda and beer and snacks, and the ribs there are fantastic, plate lunches, all of those things at the Oxford Exxon, Highway 6 West in Oxford. I'm coming to you from the Clark Ford Studios. Clark Ford's in Amory, Mississippi. 662-257-1900's that number. Call it. Ask for Corey Clark. Tell Corey what Ford product you're looking for. He'll send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours. It's that simple. It's right to the bottom line. There's no hassle, no haggle. You get your quote, and the rest is up to you. Corey always says he wants to be your car guy. He wants to be your truck guy. He'll prove that to you when you make the call. Ashley will join us on the Rafters Music and Food Hotline. Rafters on the Water is open. It's located at the Sardis Marina. You can come experience outdoor dining unlike any place in North Mississippi. The menu offers shrimp and Mississippi catfish platters, along with gourmet burgers, Louisiana-style po' boys served on Leidenheimer French bread. They're open Wednesdays and Thursdays from 3:30 to 10. Friday through Sunday, they open at 11, and it's full service now starting on Friday. Everything starting to get back to normal there at Rafters on the Water, a newly expanded picnic-style dining area. They've got signature appetizers, including the Zydeco shrimp, crawfish egg rolls, live music coming soon. They also have fun cocktails, including their famous house frozen margarita. If you just want to get to go, or you just want to continue to do the curbside for a little while things start to get back to normal, you can do that too, no problem. 662-712-6162. That's Rafters on the Water, located at the Sardis Marina. And now to the Rafters Music and Food Hotline and Ashley Herzberg. Ashley, thanks so much for being with us. Really appreciate it.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm very excited.
So tell me a little bit about the winery, a little bit about yourself, how you sort of got into this, and what things have been like for you guys during a COVID time when normally this would be a pretty busy tourist season.
Yeah, totally. So Cast Wines was founded in 2014 by Jack and Ann Seafrick and a group of their very close friends. They came out to wine country, fell in love with it, and had this dream to start this winery, and actually followed through and did that, which is pretty awesome. So our winery is in Dry Creek Valley in Phillipsburg. We're about an hour north of San Francisco in Sonoma County, and it is gorgeous. I wish that I was broadcasting from the vineyards right now, but Wi-Fi is not my friend out there. So, and then a little bit about me. I've been making wine for 14 years. I studied chemical engineering in college and went straight into winemaking, and most of that has been in Sonoma County and in Dry Creek Valley and in Russian River Valley, where most of our wines come from. So, pretty exciting to get to talk about all those wines today. And, as far as these COVID times, we're really lucky. We have pretty amazing wine club members and a pretty supportive network of customers. So people are still ordering wines. People are still wanting to drink. And we are an essential business here in Sonoma County, so we were able to stay open. Production is all fine. We've been going to work every day. And our tasting room and sales staff, they've been shipping out wine like crazy. So I'm pretty excited to tell you about some of the things that we've got going on a little later in the call.
Okay, so you want to get started with this first one? It's a sparkling. I'm not even sure I know how to pronounce this. Blanc de Noir. Is that correct?
Yeah.
How about that?
Right.
All right, so we'll get that open, and while we're opening it, tell us a little bit about it and that kind of thing.
Yeah, so I'll get my bottle open too. So this is a sparkling Blanc de Noir, like you said. This actually Blanc de Noir means white of red. So it's a white wine, but it's made with red grapes. So the grape in this is Pinot Noir. And what happens is, even though Pinot Noir is a red varietal, when you just give it very minimal skin contact, it really doesn't pick up any color because grape juice is clear for the most part, and the only way that it gets color is from the pigments in the skin, the color pigments in the skin. So when you don't let it touch the skins very much, you end up with a clear juice. And this wine, I'll get my bottle open here. Ooh, this wine is actually method.
You only beat me by 2 seconds there, Ashley, and you were talking, so I'm gonna you're ahead 1-0 here.
Yeah. Well, okay, to be fair, I have a lot of practice, and it's not just being a winemaker. I also really like to drink bubbles, so. So this is the traditional method Champagne. So that means that it goes through 2 fermentations. The first fermentation is in a stainless steel tank, and the second one actually happens in each individual bottle. So we bottle the wine, it's about 11% alcohol, and we add a little yeast and a little sugar, and then we put it under pressure, so under a crown cap, like a beer cap. And it ferments for about 3 years and stays on the lees, stays in the bottle. And then we, get all the lees to all the sediment, basically, to the neck of the bottle, freeze it, disgorge it, and then put a cork in and send it out to you guys. So it's a very, and we're, continuing those heritage methods here in Record Valley. So let's go ahead and taste. So you can see it's got just a little color, and that's just from the very minimal time on the skin. Nice delicate bubbles, so it's hard to see right now, but in your glass, if you were using a champagne glass, but you can pour this in a white wine glass, that's perfectly acceptable. And you can see the really delicate bubbles, and that just lifts all the aromatic up to your nose, and so you can get a really good sense of what the wine is like. So lots of fruit, a little bit of raspberry. We call that mousse, like sort of like that creamy, a little bit more texture to it, like a pie crust, like a flaky pie crust. So.
What do you guys think?
I feel sophisticated, really. Well, how I look, but I feel like I look sophisticated.
The raspberry, whatever's kind of interesting, is you do kind of you get that little kind of that tart, sweet sort of thing about it that maybe is something that wasn't necessarily expecting when I first started drinking it. Yeah, that's kind of the most interesting part of it to me, actually.
Yeah. It's really interesting. So sparkling wines, some people, they kind of shy away from them. They think they're going to be very sweet or like very, very acidic, but really a well-made sparkling wine is pretty balanced. So, you want to have like a little bit of acidity with a lot of fruit notes and then some texture from just sitting in bottle on the leaves for so long.
Yeah, I'm a fan of that. That's really good.
Yeah, and that's
crisp.
Yeah, and sparkling wine, like I like it. Like I legitimately like sparkling wine. It's one of the things that I wouldn't sit around and just have a bottle of champagne necessarily, but yeah, I'm all good with it. It's not something I shy away from.
I'm going to pass this out now. I'll put it on the stream in a minute. If you want to check this out while you're watching us do this tasting, it's cast, C-A-S-T, wines.com. If you enter promo code GROVE, G-R-O-V-E, does that need to be in all caps, Ashley?
Yeah, all caps.
Okay, GROVE in all caps. You get 10% off any purchase of 6 bottles or more and half-price shipping. I'll put all of those details out on rebelgrove.com. I'll put them here in the stream as well, and I'll make sure that I put it on Twitter as well.
Yeah, we're going to do something extra for you guys. If any of your listeners are just, wanting something a little more regular, wine club shipments a little more regularly, we do have a wine club, and If you do join that today and use the same promo code, we're going to give you 30% off. So our typical discount is 20, and so we'll give you a little extra today to any of your listeners.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
So, all right.
So you want to switch to number 2 here?
Let's do it. Yeah, let's switch to the next one.
Okay, this is a 2019 Sauvignon Blanc.
So this actually comes from Russian River Valley, which is the valley right to the south of us. It's a little bit cooler there. It actually follows the Russian River, which is a very, a mainstay of our appellations here in California, or in Sonoma County rather. And this comes from Bucher Vineyards. So the Bucher family has been farming grapes for quite a long time. They also own a dairy on one of their properties, and so they are a farming family, and we're really lucky to get this fruit. So the vines were planted about 30 years ago, and it's just in this little pocket in this little beautiful valley with a stream running alongside it, and it makes pretty delicious wine. So go ahead and taste that, and then I'll tell you about how we make it. So super like fruit-driven tropical notes, really aromatic.
Yeah, you get the fruit right away.
Yeah.
Like a little bit of almost pear, I think. Is that one of the first things that come out?
Totally, yeah. Yeah, tons
Look
of
at
pear
you.
notes. Little, these are the professionals. Yeah, little pear notes. A little bit of guava notes, you get some of those more tropical notes, a tiny bit of pineapple on it, but really fruit-driven, some slight floral notes, like a little bit of like citrus blossom in the nose. And then the palate has tons of fruit still, but it finishes really clean. So, it's really refreshing wine. My bottle came right from the fridge, so it's like nice and chilled and crisp. It's like perfect for a warm day. It's starting to warm up here in Sonoma County, so this is like what I want to be drinking on my porch every day.
So I know you travel the world. You do this a lot. This is something that's a passion for you. How do you develop not even just a palate, but the nose, the ability to take different flavors, different ideas, and form them into a wine? I mean, what is that process like?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think two things. So when I first started in the industry, a winemaker told me that every single thing that you smell and taste, you have to make a conscious memory for. So, lots of people smell strawberries, and then like later on they'll be smelling something and they're like, God, that smells so familiar. So you haven't like made that memory connection. So the power of scent and the power of taste are really strong, but we don't consciously make that connection as much as we do with our other senses, sight or even hearing. So, every time you smell like a raspberry, you're like, this is what a raspberry smells like, or this is what like a guava smells like. So it involves a lot of eating things,
Yeah.
a lot of research.
Yeah, it's interesting actually, because I talked to some people when I've done some bourbon shows over time, and so much of it is memory, and memory is so much of your taste, your smell, or how to form your palate, because you have to recognize those tastes, like you said, or those smells where somebody goes, I don't know what that is, then you tell them, oh, that's cinnamon, or that's a baking spice, or that's whatever. They go, oh yeah, but picking that out's a whole other animal, and something that, to me, it all really kind of comes back to memory a little bit.
Yeah, it really does. And a lot of my tasting or descriptors are like things that only really I remember. I'm like, this smells like the cherry chapstick that I used in 7th grade. It's this very conscious, like, tying it to a real experience. And so wine can be really powerful for people because it like sort of transports you to these memories and these places in time. And it's really special in that way. So, and as far as tying that back to making wine, I think that comes with a little bit of time and experience. But when I go to a vineyard and taste grapes, it's sort of like being able to project where those flavors are going to, be extrapolated to in the final wine. And it's just tasting a lot of grapes and a lot of wines and experience, I guess. I'm making some errors along the way, but
I was going to ask you, do you ever think that you have a great idea, and when it starts to come to fruition, you're like, nope, this didn't work?
yeah, I have had those. So this Sauvignon Blanc, I mean, this one turned out amazingly, but so the way it's made, we do part of it is skin soak. So we take the grapes off of the stem and we let them just sit on the skin for about 3 or 4 days and pick up all the flavor from the skin. So skins not only have color, but they have like a ton of flavor that we want to unlock. But you know, if you leave them too long, they can go a little too far. So the very first year that I did the skin soaked Sauvignon Blanc, I went a little too far and I had a little bit of the brown oxidized Sauvignon Blanc. So yeah, it is. It's like, you know, sort of knowing when to experiment and knowing when to be like, okay, that's good. But it definitely, you know, you kind of like hone in on what you want and what works.
Okay, we are ready to move to wine number 3. Malloy here is making hand motions that he's ready for another drink. He's getting upset. So we're going to go right now to the 2018 Cast Chardonnay. This is from the Russian River Valley as well.
Yeah. So this is going to go a little deeper in Russian River, a little closer to a town called Sebastopol. This is called the Quail Hill, or this is a combination of Quail Hill Chardonnay and then a couple other vineyards. And this fruit is so beautiful. So Chardonnay in Russian River is very special. You know, some of the first families to plant in the Russian River were planting Pinot and Chardonnay in the 1960s, and this is really what put Russian River Valley on the map. There were these amazing sites and these amazing little pockets for growing Pinot and Chard. And so just to be able to get fruit, because it's still, you know, it's still hard to get. It still, you know, can be a challenge to, like, even find fruit sources, and people, like, sort of lock it up for a long time. So we're really excited just to be able to have this Chardonnay. So the way we make this Chardonnay, it's actually barrel fermented. So that means, you know, we press the juice off of the skins of the grapes, and it goes straight to a barrel. And they ferment in barrels for about 3 or 4 weeks. And no yeast is added. They're all natural. You know, they ferment just with the indigenous yeast that's on the skins of the grapes. And then we end up with this beautiful product, you know, at the end. It's been about 11 months in barrel, and then we bottle it. So we want to taste this one. So I know Chardonnay can be a really polarizing wine. You know, California Chardonnays can have a little bit of a bad rap, and people sort of associate them with, like, very buttery or oaky. But this is actually quite a balanced wine. So there's no hints of butters, and, you know, maybe a touch of very, very delicate oak, but a really pretty fruit-driven wine. So what do you guys think? Are you drinkers?
I started out as a Chardonnay person when I first started drinking wine, and I've kind of moved a little more red no matter what I'm eating now or whatever. But I started on kind of like really oaky Chardonnays. That was sort of where when I started back in the day for wine. Yeah.
They're such a good gateway wine, you know. They're delicious. They're full and they're fat and they're rich, and so they like go down easily. But this is like the graduated level of Chardonnay, you know. It's got a little more acidity. It still has like some nice touches of oak, but really balanced, really clean feeling, and lots of fruit character on it. So
Yeah, that's amazing. Good.
thank you. Yeah.
Chardonnay is the hardest. It's the hardest one for me to ever pick. You know, like at Thanksgiving or something, and you know that people are coming over, and some people are going to drink red, and some people are going to drink whites, and so you get Chardonnay. And I have found there's more margin for error as a consumer getting Chardonnay than there is almost any other varietal.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. And the thing is about Chardonnay, it's a winemaker's wine. So Chardonnay is very malleable. Like, you know, what we taste in the vineyard for most grapes is like what you end up with in the wine. But Chardonnay, you can sort of influence it. You can choose to put it through malolactic fermentation. You can choose to put more or less oak on it. You know, you can choose to stir or not stir. So there's all these ways that we sort of like push our own style onto it, and so in that way, Chardonnay is like a grape that is very, the style is very indicative of what the wine is going to be like, rather than the grape itself.
Yeah, and
So,
that's a really good point, because you can find a really bad Chardonnay that's out there. You know, people probably put their style on it. They can put a bad style on it quickly. So that's a good style.
You can get a $40 bottle of Chardonnay, and it's just not good. I mean, it's because it'll be, I don't know what the word is. It's
bad.
Well, sometimes it's so crisp and fruity that you don't taste anything else. It doesn't have any depth to it at all. And then sometimes you'll get one it tastes almost like they just melted butter and added some stuff to it.
Yeah, it is amazing. It's called a Chardonnay, and they're so completely different. Don't taste anything alike. So, you know, Sauvignon Blanc, I think you can get, you know, they're all somewhat remotely the same, right? I mean, it tastes a little bit different here or there, but you're right on the Chardonnay.
yeah, absolutely. You know, I think the harder thing is making Chardonnay, because, you know, you can put your influence on it so much, it's harder to like pull back and be like, okay, you know what, let's let this actually taste like what the grapes in the vineyard taste like, rather than like adding, you know, our influence onto it so much. So that's what we try to do here. You know, it's like our style, or my style, is to sort of let the vineyard speak for itself. So like I try to like get out of my own way as much as possible with making wine.
Okay, so we're going to go to the Rosé of Zinfandel, and I'm going to be honest with you here, Ashley. Rosés have become quite popular. I haven't really gotten into them. I haven't really tried. If I'm completely honest, I'm like Chase a little bit. I started with whites. I've gone to probably 95% reds, just in terms of daily consumption. And rosés intimidate me for some reason that I can't articulate, and I don't necessarily understand. But so you'll have to really walk me through this one.
Okay, I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, so this is our Rosé of Zinfandel. This actually comes from our state property right in Dry Creek Valley. And, you know, I think rosés are intimidating because they're also kind of a mixed bag. You know, and rosé for a long time was like thought of, and maybe a little bit was, sort of a lesser wine. Because it's not really a varietal, it's a style of making wine. Because these are made from red grapes and just left on the skin for a short bit of time. So, you know, all that being said, a rosé can be this really beautiful expression of the fruit. But again, it's hit or miss, because it's a wine that we have a lot of influence over as winemakers. You know, there's a lot of different ways to make a rosé. So for this one, we try to be really true to the grape itself. So we picked it really early, and, you know, at about 22 Brix, which, you know, a red wine is picked at about 24 and a half. So much, much earlier. And we pressed it right off the skin. So the only time that it spent, like, touching the skin was in the press. So about 2 hours. And all of that leads to this really bright, acid-driven, really fresh fruit character. You know, lots of strawberry tones, lots of, like, lemon zest. That makes it really refreshing. You know, and I think a lot of people think, you know, rosé is a little bit of a lesser wine, but it's not. You know, we compare this with a variety of foods, and especially on a warm day. Like, I had this with barbecue just last week, so, you know, it's definitely be versatile. We just have to change our mindsets, I guess.
My 19-year-old daughter, I believe, drinks rosé, although I think the ones that she drinks, Ashley, you can get them for about $4.95 at the grocery store.
Our food has got to start somewhere. I think that's where I started too.
Yeah, she started with that, and as she's been home for 2.5 months because of the pandemic, and I've learned a little bit about what she drinks, and it's kind of frightening.
Oh my gosh, I'm sure. I'm like, man, I feel for all the college kids that had to go home in the middle of their semester, most of all, you know.
What's your typical wine, Malloy? What do you drink?
You know, I like a red. I mean, if I guess, listen, I'm not that sophisticated as you know. I don't have to tell you to do that. But you know, I like a good red. I think during the summer it's good if you're having some fish, maybe. You know, to go with a good Chardonnay. And I like a Sauvignon Blanc. I guess I like them all. I just kind of covered every one of them. But
This would really be good on a warm day.
yeah.
This would be excellent. Actually, I'm surprised at how much I like it.
Maybe you're changing your after you mow the yard drink, Neil. Instead of the beer, maybe it's the glass of rosé now when you do that.
Now, Ashley, you know this. After you mow the yard and you do all the edging and stuff, especially if you live in the South where it's 406 degrees in July, you must take a cold beer to the shower. It's just a rule.
Oh my God, I love that. You know, it gets warm here too. Maybe I'll continue that trend here on the West Coast.
You absolutely should. But then after you get out of the shower and you've had the cold beer, this might be the way to go. This is. I mean, I'm really surprised at how much I like it.
It could be. Chase, this could be your deal. I'm telling you.
What's that?
This could be your staple, the rosé.
It's refreshing, but it still has a little oomph to it, you know?
That's the thing. There is just a little finish on it that he goes, hey, there's alcohol in my glass. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There's just enough to kind of because I've told Neil knows this. I mean, he laughs at me all the time. My level of bourbon at this point has just burned my palate up. If it's not like 140 proof, I can't taste it at this point. So it takes a little pop there at the end to give me something.
Well, I can see that giving you a headache at some point.
Chase walks into the liquor store and says, "Do you have any just straight Everclear?"
That's multi-purpose right now, hand sanitizer and
Yeah,
there's
bourbon,
truth to that.
so-
Yeah.
Chase just goes to his liquor cabinet, pours some on his kids' hands, and everybody's good.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so, you know, this rosé, I just feel like it fits a lot of pockets, you know. It totally does. It's like that in-between, like after you mow the lawn, after your shower beer, but like before dinner, you know, like while you're grilling, tasting little bits off the barbecue. Like this wine just really fills a nice little pocket. And it's refreshing, but it's also, you know, I think of the other things, we talked about it with the sparkling, but sometimes people see a rosé, it's pink, it's pretty, and they think it's going to be sweet. And this is a dry wine, but it just has tons of fruit to sort of carry it without any sugar. So, you know, you're going to give yourself a little bit of the headache of like a mixed drink, but still get like tons of the fruit and tons of like the rich notes that, you know, you kind of want. With lots of acidity to clean your palate.
You mentioned having barbecue with this or whatnot. What is sort of your and again, I think some of it's just drink what you like, but you know, the old school rule was this goes with this and to pair foods and everything. What do you kind of look for as far as when you're trying to pair foods with what you're drinking from a wine standpoint?
Yeah, totally. So I look for two things. So you can either have the complementary pairings or you can have contrasting pairings. So like complementary pairings would be like a rich steak with a rich cab. You know, like that kind of goes together. Or like a seafood dish with a lot of citrus with a Sauvignon Blanc that has a lot of natural acidity. Or you can have a contrasting pairing, and that's sort of what I like. That's what I lean towards. So when I have a rich dish, like even like a grilled chicken or something like that, I like to have something with a little acidity to sort of cut through it. You know, it feels refreshing, and it like sort of sets your palate up for the next bite. And that even applies to like cheeses or pasta. You know, you have something that sort of cuts through the richness of your food. It sort of like gives you something to look forward to on the next bite.
Yeah, that's a good question from our live stream here, Ashley. We've got comments rolling in as we're talking to you, and somebody said we're not talking about the same barbecue. Are we talking barbecue or cookout? When you say that, what are we actually cooking?
Okay, well, yeah,
Okay.
you're right. You guys maybe barbecue like country, so for me it's like grilled chicken, maybe with like.
Yeah, you're grilling out.
flavor.
You're not doing barbecue.
There's a difference.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Barbecue's a noun. Barbecue. You know, you can still be doing barbecue, but it's got to be pork show. It's got to be something low and slow at that point. We're not throwing steak and burgers on the grill and doing a barbecue. That's a cookout.
Oh, okay. Now I know.
Yeah.
See, I learned shower beers and what a cookout is today.
I think if nothing else, you have Neil potentially convinced when he's doing the brisket. The rosé might be like the last 30 minutes before the brisket comes off. You might pour the rosé right there before the end of it.
Yeah, you've made a fan. I'll admit it. I'm intrigued now.
Rosé kind of guy.
The longer this pandemic goes, the more I'll drink anything. But that was really good. All right.
Thank
All right.
you. Yeah.
We're going to go to the reds now. We're going to get into our wheelhouse here. We're going to the 2018 Pinot Noir.
You love how he says that, Chris? With those the accent on Noir.
I like that.
stop.
I mean,
Noir.
that was awesome.
I'm the one cleaning in the
Yeah,
studio in here, and they dare harass me. Can you imagine that, Ashley? I mean, it hurts my feelings.
I'm sure. Well, I'm impressed by your accent. I think it's awesome. You got like a nice like lilt
Well,
to the.
See, you're
to the
offending
tune.
Neal because he doesn't want an accent. He cringed as you
He
did that
has
right
fought
there.
having an accent.
I don't want to brag, Ashley, but I have a master's degree from Louisiana Monroe. Not everybody can get one of those.
You talk about
Oh
sophisticated.
man.
What they do
That's
at,
a heavy pour, McCready.
what they do at ULM, Ashley, is they take your pulse, and if you have one, you get the degree. But if they can't find it right away, they just say, "Oh hell, it's close enough," and you get it anyway.
Oh my god. That's good to know in case I want to go back to school
Yeah.
someday. 'Cause my brain might get fried from all the wine consumption. I'm not sure I could actually,
No, you don't
handle it.
need a brain. You just need a pulse, not a brain.
All right, Ashley, I got a question for you. So, let's say I'm opening up a general red, and maybe they're all different in this deal, but and I want to have one glass out of that. I certainly don't want the whole bottle, and I want to put that back up, put a cork in it, for that night. How long is that generally good for?
Yeah, for a red wine, it does depend on the varietal. A Pinot is a little bit more delicate, has a little less tannin, but even that'll last 3 days. A Cab might last 4 or 5. Yeah, it'll last a long time. So, and it also depends on how partial the bottle is. If you're leaving an inch in the bottom of your bottle, it's probably not going to taste very good, But if you have like half of the bottle left, you can most definitely save it, and I drink even my white wines from the fridge. I'll drink those over 3 days. So you have a surprising amount of wiggle room in a red wine and in a white
Good to know.
wine. That's a good question, though. Yeah. So shall we taste the Pinot?
Absolutely, your wines. You actually have a bottle last 3 days. I'm impressed.
I was pretending.
I'm blown away.
Yeah, 20 Pinot, and Bacchus is actually a vineyard in Russian River Valley that is very well known. At least out here, it's really well known. They were one of the first families to plant Pinot and Chardonnay in Russian River in the 60s, and they've gotten a lot of notoriety with the variety of tastings that they've done and been a part of over the years. So again, we're fortunate to get a little bit of this fruit. And that's one of our things, we want to have these amazing grower partners that have these great sites and be able to buy a little grapes from them to supplement our own estate fruit. So it's super nice to be able to get
that's
this.
amazing.
So this is one of my things. I mean, I love Pinot too. I think I've said that about all the.
No, it's okay. I love the finish on it. A lot of times a
Yeah.
Pinot will have a kind of a harsh finish. You'll love the front of it, but the finish is I don't know what the word is. It'll almost be kind of acidic on your palate. This is completely different.
Yeah. This wine has a lot of balance. So it's not as tannic as a Cab. So tannin is that sort of feeling on your tongue that sort of bites at your tongue, sort of. And a Pinot is very smooth. It's a much thinner skinned varietal. So a lot of the tannins come from the skins of the grapes. Remember, we're getting so much from the skin of the grapes. So, Pinot, because it's a very thin-skinned varietal, does not have that sort of gritty bite to it. And then this one, it's in a little pocket of Russian River that does have this cool fog influence from the river itself, but it also maintains a little bit more balance. So it gets a little more fruit-driven, has a really pretty finish. I think this one almost has a little bit of a cola texture and a really pleasant, or cola flavor at the finish in a really pleasant way. So I love this one.
There's a lot there. It's really, really good. It's like I said, Neal said, it's the finish, but you're getting just enough of that. I don't know the positive way to say this because I'm not a wine person or whatever, but it's a good thing, but the film, you know what I mean? Like you said, that heavy feeling on the tongue where it's whatever, it's just enough to kind of go, okay, I've got a red in my mouth, it's whatever, where it feels like medium rare filet. That's that, like you said, like that contrasting thing of, the kind of the buttery of the steak. That's the compliment to me as I'm kind of drinking it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love that. I love that richness. So this is something to talk about. So we mentioned malolactic, and that's converting malic acid, which is naturally present in grapes, into lactic acid, which is like what your muscles make when you're working out, or like what's found in milk. And so that gives it this creamy texture. So most red wines go through malolactic fermentation, almost all of them. And that gives it this like palate weight and this creamy texture and sort of balance on your tongue. That's really refreshing. Really, it just like it sort of lingers in like a really pleasant way.
Yeah, it's very, very good.
Is that your favorite one so far? I know you're a red guy, but is that your favorite one?
You're gonna laugh at me, but it's right there with the rosé. That
Okay.
rosé was delicious. I'm stunned at how much I liked the rosé.
We are not.
I feel like I'm gonna get made fun of for the rest of the night, but that's all right.
Hey, listen, we're happy you like the rosé.
Thanks, Chris.
You can keep it when we leave. It's fine. You can have the rest of it.
Ole Miss's women's golf coach won a big, massive award today. I didn't see any announcement about the men's coach.
Oh, God.
Maybe they just it was a typo. I don't know what the deal was.
I was looking for a comeback, and I don't have one, really.
All right. Before I get killed here,
Sorry, Ashley.
We'll go to bottle number 6. It's a 2015 Petite Sirah. So I know that a lot of people out there, self-included, are going to wonder what's the difference between a Pinot Noir, a Petite Sirah. What's the difference between a Petite Sirah and a Shiraz? So kind of walk us through that a little bit as we make our pour.
Totally, those are great questions. So they're all different varietals, and a varietal is sort of like apples, like Granny Smith apples or Macintosh apples. So they all sort of come. They all have a similar parent clone, Vinous vinifera, but they all sort of took their own path in life, basically. So, the difference between a Petite Sirah and a Pinot is that they're from different regions entirely. So they were found in different areas. Most of them are somewhere in Europe that they were first discovered. Very typically France, some Spain, some Italy, and some Croatia. But these two are from France, or the Pinot and the Petite Sirah, so totally different grapes. So they look different, they taste different, but they're both grapes. They're both red grapes. So a Petite Sirah, though, has much thicker skin. So it has skins like a Cabernet does. So it sort of falls between a Zinfandel because it's very fruity, and a Cab because it can be very tannic. So, and 2015 was a really great vintage. It was a very small crop that year, so everything was very concentrated. So it was a very rich, unctuous wine. Tons of fruit in the nose, really pretty.
Ashley, I'm going to ask a dumb question. Most of them are, but I kind of spin my wine around, and just because I think I should. Do you mind telling us what exactly that does?
Yeah, that's a great question. You've been asking great questions. So the first wine that we tasted, the sparkling wine, we didn't need to swirl it around because the bubbles actually lift all the aromatics to your nose. So you don't have to swirl it. But for everything else, you want to get a little bit of air on it. You want to put a little air in your glass, and that actually lifts the aromas out of the glass and to your nose, so you know what you're smelling. And it also opens up the wine a little bit. So wine is like this living, breathing, alive thing. And so when you put a little air on it, like decanting, like people talk about decanting wine, which, that is very much dependent on what wine you have, what the circumstances are. But swirling your glass is like a small bit of decanting. It's putting a little air on it to make it wake up. So, you don't have to swirl, you can just drink. But, when you're really appreciating the wine, it's nice to swirl, and you sort of get a more full expression of that wine.
I've done it for years. I just didn't know why, but.
Just because you thought you were supposed to. That was,
I mean,
everybody else is doing it.
all
What
the-
the
all
hell?
the
I've
cool
seen some pretty
kids are
smart
doing it.
people do it, so I mean, I do it.
Yeah, well, you were right. I mean, it's a really good way to, assess a wine. And I mean, I do it, probably subconsciously on every sip. So, yeah, so I think you've been doing it right all along. So what do you guys think of this? Definitely a
It's
bigger
definitely
wine.
a bigger wine than the Pinot.
With the mouthfeel, I like the Pinot better for whatever reason. To me, there was a little more mouthfeel on it, and that's just that was kind of what I'm looking for whatever reason that I'm not even aware that Ashley probably could tell me. But that's kind of what's appealing to me as I'm drinking them.
Smooth. I mean, I thought it was really smooth.
Yeah. So this wine, it's a little older than the Pinot. Obviously, it's 3 vintages older. But a Petite Sirah has a lot more natural tannin, so it's just naturally this sort of bigger wine. And so this wine will age a lot longer, where I feel like the Pinot tastes great and is ready to drink right now. So it kind of depends on, again, it goes back to what are you eating? If you're having barbecue, the noun version of barbecue, now I know, this could be a really good one with brisket or something that can kind of cut through more sinewy, long-cooked meats and roasts and things like that. And that tannin will help sort of, clean your palate from that. But, the Pinot is a drinkable, approachable, everyday wine.
It's a great topic because you get that question a lot, I'm sure, about food pairings and that kind of thing. Are you a strict believer in food pairings?
You were gone when we asked this question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Then I'll stop. I was actually doing work here and I was getting harassed. But
We can fill you in.
Yeah, I'll be curious to get filled in. I'll have to listen to the podcast.
Food pairings, we did talk a little bit about it, but even though I like to eat, so I like to enjoy my wine with food and sort of explore that. I think a lot of the heritage of wine has been meant to be with food. But all that said, sometimes it's really enjoyable to have wine like you would a beer. It doesn't need food necessarily. Wine can sort of, your rosé, can sort of stand up on its own, and you can just have a glass of that. And, I think people go really deep into the food pairing, and really it's drink what you like, when you like, with what you want to eat, if you want to eat it,
I frequently had a Cabernet for dinner, so I completely understand what you're saying.
Yeah. It's if you like to have cabs, then have your cab with dinner. And I think when you like a wine and you appreciate a wine, it's probably going to go great with your food no matter what. But there are days, maybe you want to geek out a little more and you're like, ooh, I wonder what this pairs
And now we
with.
have your cab.
When you're having
So now we go to the one that I think we've all looked forward to the most, and that's the 2017 Cabernet Pyramid Vineyard Alexander Valley. So we'll pour that as you can tell us a little bit about it.
Absolutely. So Alexander Valley is our other neighboring valley. So it actually lies between Dry Creek Valley and Napa, basically. And it's this beautiful rolling hill. Oh my God, it's